Welcome to your financial freedom plan. My name is Jim Hollinger, and I hope you've already watched the video on how the software part of this works. Now we want to start showing you why and how it's going to work and what it's going to do for you. We're going to show you how to pay off that 30-year mortgage in as little as 8 to 10 years, and I'm challenging 100 of you this year to do it in 1 year using the Rise Up Income Center as well as your debt elimination. So let's get started, and I want to start out first of all by telling you what the Financial Freedom Plan is not. It's not a biweekly program. On a biweekly program, people say they can save 7 years of payments, and people when they hear about this, they always want to know what it is. And I said, look, it's a plan to get you out of debt quicker. If it's not worth $125 for that to happen, then don't join. But when I explain it to you, you won't need to buy the program because I'll be telling you everything that you're going to need to know, and that's what you're buying. And besides, it's going to take you at least a year to do this. So let's just go ahead and get started. It's not a debt roll down program. I got out of debt using a debt roll down program, and it worked, but I found out I could have done it faster had I known the things that I'm going to share with you today. It's not a reverse mortgage. We're not going to be borrowing money or getting rid of our home or putting it at risk to get out of debt. You don't have to eat beans and rice. This is not a concept. It's not a theory. It works. And the reason it works is because it's been designed that way. You see, when you buy a house, you look at the house and you say, man, we can't afford that house. And the bank says, well, can you afford $1,000 a month? And you go, well, yeah. So you resign yourself to the fact that you're going to have a house for 30 years of payments. So you buy that house when you're young, and it's paid for when you get ready to retire. That doesn't make sense. Think of this as a financial GPS. That we're going to guide you on how to pay off all your debt, including your mortgage, how you can save for retirement, how you can keep yourself focused, and how you can track your success. You see, you're going to have a choice. Be debt-free in 30 years, or follow our example and have $1 million into your retirement account. Now, we're going to show you all this stuff because I know that sounds like absolutely undoable, but it is, and we do it all the time. Think of yourself like a banker. I want you to change places with your bank. You see what banks do? They take and they borrow money. And they take that money and they turn around and they lend it to you, put you in debt. Your money is going to have babies. That money is going to go back to the bank. So while you're getting unloaded in debt, they're making money. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to use and turn that all around and use the bank's money to cancel your interest and get yourself out of debt. Ever since banks opened their doors, they've relied on math and timing to make money work. We're going to show you now how you can do the same thing. It's your turn to become the banker. Change seats with him and do what he does, and you'll be debt-free and you can start making interest on your own money. First of all, we have to look at how banks work. What banks do is they pay interest to earn interest. When a banker wants to open up a bank, he borrows money, and usually they can borrow that money at less than 3%. The other thing that they do is they are going to lend out the money. That money they borrow, they're going to lend out at 6%. Now, where do they get the money from? Every night, the banks do what's called sweeping the accounts. And what they want to know is how much money they actually have on deposit. At the beginning of the month, they're going to be a little bit short because people go in there and they cash their Social Security checks. And so there's a big drain on them. So they might have, let's say they need to have $10 million in the bank every day to meet its obligations throughout the day. And because it's the first week of the month, the first few days of the month, they only have $7 million in there. That night, they're going to borrow the money, the $3 million, to make up that difference for the next day's activity. If they have $13 million in the bank, they're going to turn around and they're going to lend that money out to other institutions, other banks, where they need their cash flow. So that's what's going on here. That's where the money is coming from, and that's what the banks are doing. Now, they also get money for free. they get money for free. Yeah, they do. They get it from you, out of your checking account and your savings account. Oh, they don't take it out of your account. They just know that that money's on deposit in their bank, and so they use that as part of their borrowing power. You go, that doesn't sound fair. Well, that's what we're going to teach you. I don't want you to play fair. I want you to play smart. Because what the banks do is they use your money that's on deposit to turn around, and if you want to buy something on your credit card, they're going to turn around and they're going to lend you that money at greater than 6%. Credit cards go what? 6%, 12%, 24%. I've seen credit cards out there 27%. So they're lending you part of your own money if you have money in deposit. If you don't, then they're borrowing that money from someone else to lend it to you. And the circle goes on and goes in a circle, and the money just keeps going around. But who's making the money? The banks are. So what I want you to do is I want you to change the system. You want to make sure that every dollar you have either earns you interest or cancels out interest. We're going to stretch your dollar. We're going to let your money have babies for you. Now, if you understand compound interest and you understand interest, you're going to earn it. If you don't, you're going to pay it. That's why most of America is paying interest and paying off debt. Did you know that this year the student loan debt has passed all credit card debt? These kids have sold their whole future, and a lot of times they get out of school and they don't do anything with what they went to school for. They end up with a job that isn't what they exactly wanted to do. Don't let it happen to you. We're going to talk about all these things and how it works. Einstein said, when you explain something to people, keep it simple, but not any simpler. There's some things that as I explain them, they get kind of complicated, like our comp plan, all right? A lot of people it can really get confusing, but I've made it simple to understand so you can get it. The mechanics behind it would be like drawing some big complicated thing on a chalkboard. If you understand compound interest, you're going to earn it. If you don't, you're doomed. You're going to pay it. You can't solve a problem by using the same logic and reasoning that created the problem. You're going to get in debt if you keep borrowing money, and it's going to get worse and deeper. And actually, when you get too deep, the banks start raising your rates, and all of a sudden you don't have enough income to cover it. And that's why I really fell in love with Rise Up, because it's the one thing I've never been able to do for people, and that was to help them increase their income. I could show them how to get out of debt with the money they had, as long as they weren't robbing Peter to pay Paul. But once you're down that slippery slope, you've got to increase your income. Let's take a look at John and Mary. Obviously, this is not their real name. John is 40 years old, and we ran the financial freedom plan analysis, and he's still 40 years old. But let's take a look at the difference from today forward. He'll be debt-free in 30 years, just bought a new house. With us, he'll be debt-free in 15.3 years. We can nail it down that close, that accurate. He'll pay $247,000 in interest at the bank. Doing it our way, he's only going to pay $125,000 plus. He's going to save $121,000 in interest. How do we do that? All right. First of all, we're going to teach you some things about the money that you already have and where it's at. You've got your money in a checking account? No. Okay? Money goes in and goes out, but it does not earn you any interest or it does not do anything else for you. I got my money in a savings account. Okay? I've got a safety net. Money is moved in here in case you run into hard times. That only earns you 1 to 2%, but not in today's market, but it can if you have it in the right place. If you have any kind of debt, you should not have your money stagnating in a checking or savings account. We're going to teach you how to do paycheck parking and how you're going to use your money to get out of debt and go from there. Why not? When you put a charge on your credit card, do you know how long it is figured to be paid off? It is calculated to be paid off in 20 years. 240 payments if you paid a minimum charges. That means when you buy that coat, that pair of shoes, that purse, it's designed to be paid for 20 years. If you paid a credit card each month, how much interest does it cost you? I can hear some of you already answered the question. Well, it doesn't cost you any interest. That's because we've just created an interest cancellation account. There are people who do that. There are people that know they should do it, but they don't. And we're going to teach you how to do that. Here's what happens. When you have an advanced line of credit, and that's what your credit card is going to become. We're going to use that. There are companies out there that tell you have to have a HELOC or a home equity line of credit. You do not have to have that to get out of debt. We're going to show you how to use the assets that you already have in your hand to do it. Your credit card is going to act like your primary checking account. What does it do? It's going to allow you to pay your bills, take money out, deposit all of your income, put money in. Interest is adjusted in multiple times each month, so you want to leave the money in there till the last possible minute because of the way credit card companies charge. So you want to keep your line of credit in there as long as possible, spend the least amount by the end of each month, and what you're going to find out is at the end of the month, by doing this and seeing what your money is actually doing, you're going to pay a lower interest rate, and the balance can not drop below zero. You don't want to go and spend more money than you're putting in. So this is an interest cancellation account, and it's going to be one of the key factors to getting you out of debt quicker. I'm going to challenge some of you here to get out of debt and pay off your mortgage in 1 year. With RiseUp, you can do that because we're going to show you how to increase that income, take some of that money to cancel out your debt. I want to increase your lifestyle at the same time getting you out of debt. And the only way to do that is to increase your income. So give that some careful thought. And it's not hard to tell two people about this when you understand how it works. The next thing we want to talk about is strategic payoff. If we move debt around or consolidate our debt, how does that affect you? If you combine your debt, and a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to combine their debt, and then 5 years later, they're combining it again, and it's making matters worse. So you want to be careful in how you do that. Strategic payoff uses factorial math to determine how and when to pay off all of your debts. And the software that you've gotten, whether you've downloaded it or not, the video that we showed you shows you how that works, and we're going to look at it in detail later. Can you guess the combination of this lock? Now, I know I could take the lock because I've got one of these, and you can kind of feel it and get it unlocked just by touch. But I'm talking about, can you guess the combination just looking at the lock? And the answer is no, you can't. Why? Because there's too many variables here. This has got 6 different variables. What's the possible combination? Let's take a look. With factorial math, we're going to take a look at how many combination possibilities that we have to guess the numbers. Isaac Newton, that is the guy that did the credit reporting, okay? He says the average person's got 13 active creditors on their credit report. This is the number of combinations it's going to take to solve that problem. Why? Because it's over time, it's over months, it's over years. We're going to show you how to do it faster and quicker. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to take some numbers and we're going to put it into the combination of your analyzer. It's going to look at the characteristic of each debt, including the, sorry about the phone. I'm going to unplug that for a minute. Looking at the characteristic of each debt, how long the debt is, the amount of money that you owe, the interest rate, the cancellation of payments, and the adjusting rates that are included also in some mortgages. So all of that information is going to be looked at and going to become a part of the calculation. Another thing we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to look at the true cost of something. Remember that 30-year-old couple that I told you about? We're going to take a look at what it costs to use money. So when you do that, you're going to find out that what you wanted to do isn't so smart after all. The young couple wanted to buy, if you remember, a patio and a shed, and it was going to cost $3,000. We put that $3,000 and added it into the calculator, like onto his credit card, and it was going to cost him $9,000. He decided he didn't want the shed and the patio that bad, but he really did want a new grill. And I shared with him how he could get the grill and how he could justify it. And he said, okay, how? And I said, now look, I said, I told you I wasn't going to change your lifestyle, but here's the situation. I looked at everything you've told me, and you go out to eat almost every night. There's one place you like to eat it's kind of a little pricey. And I said, that is keeping you from getting the grill. Would you rather have the grill or would you rather go out to eat? He said, I'd rather have the grill. And I said, okay. And that's what they did. They traded their restaurant for a grill. Well, that worked out great. He enjoyed it. They enjoyed cooking, and they saved a lot of money. And I like my grill. I like cooking out. So it works for me too. So let's take a look at these debts here. This guy's he's got 10 debts, $213,000, 54 years old. He's got 24 years to go before he's out of debt. That means he'll be 78. He's going to pay $245,000 in interest. And what we're going to do is we're going to show him how he can be debt-free with the analysis in 10.6 years at age 65. That is without an increase of income. It can be done quicker if he wants to increase the income and use more of that money to get out of debt. But he's only going to pay $112,000 in interest, and he's going to save $133,000. The average person in our country is 13 creditors in debt. So this guy's a little bit under average. Here's my 30-year-old couple that I was telling you about. They were only $76,000 in debt, 29 years old, going to pay $64,000 in interest. We ran the analysis, debt-free in 4.7 years, and they actually were debt-free in 3 years because of what they learned in our process. But without that, I'm just looking at the calculations here, the interest that they were going to save was $52,000. And they ended up even doing better than that because they knocked another year and a half off of this. So, folks, this works, and it's going to work for you. Here's a fellow 66 years old. He's got a 30-year mortgage. They built their retirement home, and that means it's not going to be paid for until he's 95. Statistically, folks, the man is not going to make it. All right? The wife may, but the men usually don't. That means the wife is either going to lose her home and have to pay for it or lose it. Going to pay $282,000 in interest. We ran a financial freedom plan for him, debt-free in 11 years at age 77, which is doable, only paying $123,000 in interest. That means they're going to save $158,000 in interest. What can you do with all that money that you save? Think about it. If you had all the money that you spend each month on bills, you could take more vacations with cash. You could get things that you wanted. You could make those improvements to your home. So now that you know how to use the bank's money in your favor, your participation will have little or no adverse effect on your lifestyle or your cash flow. That was the one thing I didn't like. I'm a Dave Ramsey graduate. Okay, I went through that course, and there were some things in there that I learned that I didn't even like when I did it. But I know how to, I know how to be a good student. I did everything he said by the book. And then I know also how to be a good independent thinker. And so after I graduated, I said, all right, here's what I've learned. I learned some other stuff, and I began to teach and reproduce because I wanted to teach Dave Ramsey classes, but in order to do that, you have to agree to all of his policies, and I could not because of the other stuff that I learned while I was going through this. So I know that you're going to learn everything that you need to know right here, and you're not going to need somebody to guide you through it. The software will do that, and you're going to be completely paid off, debt-free in 1/3 to 1/2 the time, unless you want to accept my 1-year challenge. And I just want to offer that to you one more time. Tell a few people about Rise Up. Take that extra money and retire your debt even quicker. You'll save tens of thousands of dollars in interest by doing that. So where do you go from here? That's up to you. We will guide you. We will show you. We will help you along the way of getting out of debt and all the other stages of life. So what you want to do is tell other people about us. Share the good news with them that what you've learned and how it's making a difference in your life. Thanks for being with us today. We'll share more with you next time.